hold of something, to take up an idea of appropriation to your heart. You appropriate it. Christians don't do that now. They say, oh, that's for John. I see that car he's driving. He got a little money. See, he's talking that way because his life, look here. If I'm asking God to take my life, you know I'm not locked into this mess. And blow up that car, my house, everything, burn up everything. Burn it up. I'll be calling one of you saying, I need somewhere to stay tonight. Well, John, you can't say, that's all right, I love you. I'm going to be sleeping right out in the backyard in the ashes. See, because I'm happy and be praising God. You think I'm going to be in the backyard in the ashes crying? My neighbor's going to see me sleeping out there and they're going to say, hey, Brother John, what's up? They say, why are you and Bro Man sleeping out there? Hey, man, the house burned down. See, receive it. Because if not, as a Christian, when trial come in your life, you're going to be running around here crazy. Like a chicken with his head cut off. What am I going to do? What am I? Did you just receive that word? Somebody got to be responsible. Now, when he says this word is engrafted, let's look closer at this word also. In the Greek, it means that which is implanted. See, this has been implanted. Let me put it this way. I became a Christian in August of 1967. When the joy of Christ filled my heart, he implanted his word. When I read the Bible, the happiness was there from day one. Al, that's what I was telling you. I do not understand these people that say the same thing happened to them. And the minute crisis comes, they break down. So nothing's been engrafted or implanted in them. Nothing. Then wait a minute. When they hear teaching like this, they'll say it right here and say, well, that's good for you, but it's not good for me. Cool. This word engrafted is in, church, the past tense. In other words, you are not waiting for this activity to happen. It has happened. And it has affected you. And you know it. That's why happiness abounds. And you do not allow the things of this world to give you happiness. It's not about that. It's not about that. You're not waiting on the activity. It has been done quite naturally, and there is a given reaction to that particular activity that is taking place in your life. Whatever happens. If I go out there and the tires on my car are gone, I say, Mark, look, we just both started laughing. Nobody's going to say what you're going to do. I got an automobile club. Call the drag truck. Come and drag this mess. Take it somewhere until I get some more tires. And then, there they go. What? There they go. They're going around the block, John. There they go. I don't expect to see you guys running trying to beat them down. I said, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Time for John to get a new set of tires. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Let them boys have them tires. Wait a minute. If this country falls, which I think it is, and it gets rough, which is going to get rougher, you're going to see a lot of house break-ins and everything, and you're going to come home, all your stuff is gone. If that happens, Mr. and Mrs. Gaston, I expect you to remember this sermon. And don't come in here fighting each other over stuff gone. Let them have it. And you, little Miss Gaston, when you see them fighting each other, call me. PJ. What? Then I'm going to say, girl, pray for them. The engrafted word. The engrafted word. My friends, let me share this with you. All of this takes place in us after the Lord places in our souls a place for his engrafted word. If he has not placed this place in us, you will freak out. You will be like the world. When I read this Bible, I say, now I see why he left me this blessed, sweet book for my sinful, decrepit life. Because he says, you are responsible, John Coleman. You will live like this. Now tell them, and so that they can know what I expect, because they are not getting to heaven unless they live exactly this way. Most of the churches out there denying God and bowing down to Michael Jackson. Lord have mercy. Last point of the outline. Christian responsibility begins when the results of responsible Christianity is the saving of the soul. Christian responsibility begins when you look at the result of our responsible life as saving the soul. Verses 22 through 25. Now, we're going to go through this, for it says, prove yourselves doers of the word and not merely hearers who delude themselves. See, we're talking about a demonstration of absolutely everything that God has said up to this time. Don't be talking about, I heard what you said, PJ. Do it. And guess what God's going to do, Mother? He's going to bring some illustrations in your life to show you. I'm going to make this happen to you. And I'm going to watch the way you live. Then he says, for if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, in other words, if you just sat and listened to, did you know that in most of our churches, people go to church and listen to sermons every day, and they shake the pastor's hand. Pastor, you preach a wonderful sermon. It really moved my heart. I'm so happy. Oh, thank you, Pastor. Your wife has on a beautiful dress, and that hat is just so wonderful. And your children are so godly and so nice, Pastor. Thank you. And get right out to church, though, and cuss out the lady across the hall. Didn't hear nothing. For years I was in places like that. We had two women in the church. I don't know whether he was there now, but they were both soloists in the choir. And before my pastor died, they had this thing. The soloist that sung the song before the pastor preached that Sunday was the favorite soloist of the pastor. Because my pastor was Southern, and he'd get up, and while he'd get up and be ready to preach, the soloist would be singing. And instead of her ending the song, she would take it into another verse, and another verse, and another verse, to make the pastor shout and scream. I'm in the choir looking at this, and I'm saying, look at this heat. And I said, the song was over 15 minutes ago. She's still up there singing. It's hot in this room. I want to hear the word and get up and go home. And then the two sisters that was vying for the top spot wouldn't even touch each other as they was in the church. So I became the pastor of the church. What's the first thing I did? After the 2 Sundays, I was preaching and they started it behind me. I said, hold up, sit down, sit down. I said, the choir's disrobed for the next 2 months. I got to teach you how to sing. Get out to stand and go out in the audience. Deacons came up to me, you can't do that. I said, I just did it. And I'll fire you too. I said, there's hell in the choir. And I don't want them loving me more than they love the Savior. And I ain't got no special one I like the most. Needless to say, one left the church with a whole family. And then the other one is crazy this day. I heard about her. She comes in the front door and just peek out the blind. See, God will give you a reprobate mind. And I told him, you both drenched in sin. Well, let me continue to go through this. It says, for anyone that's a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror, and once he looked at himself and is gone, in other words, you looked in the mirror and saw the reflection of who you were, you turned and walked away from the mirror. He has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. That's what some folk in church are like. So, in verse 25 says, but he who looks intently in the perfect law, that is the Bible, the law of liberty, and abides in it. That means remains in what God says, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer. This man shall be blessed in what he does. Now, this identifies itself with the results of the life of blessedness as you strive towards this. See, all these verses right here, it doesn't take much. Don't be hypocritical. If you're not this, for God's sake, don't try to be this. But if you are this, be this. In all ways.